bar is badly understaffed.
It started.
Oh, and that's a bad miss.
It's very upsetting for him. Harry Vaughan, of course, is old enough to remember the days when that long walk back from the table ended in the consolation of a proper drink.
Instead, all he can do is imagine that pint at the end of the session, the cooling lagery swallow, and that first suck on a Lambert.
What a contrast. Look at Harry Vaughan there, staring mournfully at his water.
Look at that. You could put a goldfish in that glass, and it wouldn't even die. Oh, and that's a bad miss.
Oh, a special thank you to Mrs. L. Beasley from Suffolk, who's written to say how much she's been enjoying the coverage, and she sent us a little present.
Oh, well, people every now and again like to show their appreciation when they've been enjoying a tournament, so... oh, my word, that is much appreciated. Thank you very much, Mrs. N. Beanley.
Beasley!
We won't embarrass you by saying what it is, but just to say, you know, cheers.
Yes, very nice.
Yeah, it's like Christmas, isn't it?
It is Christmas.
Oh, shit, the kids! They call it a ruddy food court. It just means you have to queue twice.
You've only missed the first 3 frames.
Oh, and that's a bad miss.
And a chance now for Chris Lester as he strides towards the table. One of the taller players, as tall as he is toned. And I think it's all right to say that in this day and age.
I agree, Peter. I don't think there's anything wrong with mentioning in passing that Chris Lester is very easy on the eye. At the end of the day, it's good for the game for a gifted young player such as Chris.
A gifted, young, tall, blonde player such as Chris.
He is all those things. I don't think it's going too far in these days of PC for me to call another man sexy. And Chris Lester is that man. He is a friend of mine. He is a sexy young friend of mine. He is my sexy young friend. Oh, and that's a bad miss.
And just look at the disappointment on Chris Lester's pretty little face. That is a shame.
He is devastated. And I can never make up my mind whether or not he looks more stunning in moments of adversity such as these, as he does in moments of elation and joy.
Well, Ted, for the fullest answer to that question, you'd have to ask his lovely girlfriend, Jackie. But I know what you mean. There is a quality to his fragile isolation that puts you in mind of Winona Ryder in Court.
Which is about as sexy as it gets.
But for my money, it's when he walks into the Crucible bar after a big win or a few snatched moments with Jackie, and the light from the fruit machine dances through his hair, and he smiles, and he turns that smile onto you. It's like basking in the light of twin suns.
You're quite right, Peter. It makes me thankful my op went okay. That's a bad miss.
Chris Lester approaches the table now. His trademark headband, Ted, is that purely practical, or is it also for the purposes of fashion?
Well, he assures us, Peter, it's purely practical. It's to keep his plentiful locks out of his forget-me-not blue eyes. But it does look terrific.
Yes, well, we've all got them now. And he set something of a trend amongst the younger players, Ted, but needless to say, none of them look anywhere near as good in theirs as Chris does in his.
Peter Ebdon, in particular, looks ridiculous. But I gather that Chris is quite attached to his hairband, because I was chatting to his lovely girlfriend, Jackie, the other night, and she was telling me that he even wears it in bed.
Does he? Boy, oh boy.
What a sight that must be for Jackie or for his other girlfriend, Amanda, during their more intimate romantic moments. Chris looming over them, his face flushed with concentration, just as he is as he gets down to this long red.
It's happened again.
Oh, Peter, you'll just have to sit in it till the mid-session interval.
Go on, pour us one. They're breaking off.
I think I might have overdone it with the yeast.
Cheers.
Oh, and that's a bad mess.
And you can see the frustration on Terry McCarthy's face as he returns to his seat.
Not a look to be taken lightly, especially at around 2 in the morning on the streets of Derby, if the media's to be believed.
Well, Terry is no stranger to adversity, particularly in the form of the police. And he has spoken publicly in very moving terms about that guy he cut.
I think he was right to put an end to the speculation, and it does sound to me like that guy he cut was basically asking for it.
Which is not to condone Terry's actions.
Terry's lightning-fast reactions.
It's not to condone it in any way when we say it was that other guy's fault.
Certainly in the eyes of Snooker, if not, as it transpired, those of so-called British justice.
I think the thing to remember here, Ted, is that both men involved are sorry. Terry has said publicly that he's sorry, and that other guy, well, he's bound to be sorry, isn't he? Every time he looks in the mirror.
I can barely taste it now. Oh, and that's a bad miss.
But luckily for Terry, it has run safe, so Barry Drebin will now be attempting a safety shot. Oh my God, he's fluked it! Barry Drebin has fluked a pot and he's as good as dead.
And isn't it nice to see Barry take time out to apologise to his opponent for his good fortune?
It's a comprehensive apology, Ted, which is understandable when you look at Terry McCarthy, who has gone very still.
Barry continues to apologise, and is it just my fancy, or is there the trace of a tear in the corner of his eye? Compassion, perhaps. More likely fear.
Yes, he's dropped his cue and he's on his knees. And this is the kind of thing that can happen when you have such wonderful characters in the game as Terry McCarthy.
He is a fantastic, colourful, big-hearted, big-fisted credit to the sport.